Coming up on TekThing, Intel's new Skylake CPU is pretty badass. Can a $500 printer save you thousands? Is there a legal way to back up Blu-rays? And Windows 10 security, paranoia, and some privacy concerns. All coming up on TekThing. If you get something useful out of this episode of TekThing, please consider contributing to the show at patreon.com/TekThing. You'll not only make the show possible, but you'll get access to our special monthly Patreon subscribers-only build videos. Go check them out.
I'm Shannon Morse.
And I'm Patrick Norton.
And this is TekThing, where we make technology behave.
At least on the good days.
Woohoo! I'm so excited. I'm taking a flight to DEF CON today at like 5 p.m.
Yes.
I'm so stoked.
I got Dawn Patrol out to DEF CON tomorrow morning. I will be in the Hack 5 booth. You will be in the Hack 5 booth.
Yep.
That is in the vendor area. Come buy land turtles and pineapples and gear.
Yay!
Oh my.
We also have news.
News.
We reached our goal on Patreon, so we can do build videos for our patrons. This is going to be patrons only, a hardware build of some sort, one per month.
Yeah.
Super excited about that as well. So I think we're going to do our first one after DEF CON.
We might even do it at DEF CON if we lose our minds.
Oh. If we find some hardware to build at DEF CON, oh, that might be fun.
There's things happening.
There are things.
Things are happening. So, Skylake is here. Intel's released the first desktop version of the next generation. That's the
Yes.
Skylake CPU. The Core i7-6700K is being tested everywhere. We're going to talk about why I'm thinking of upgrading my long-suffering Core i7-920 to a Skylake machine later in the show.
Ooh, I'm
Yeah.
interested in this. I'm also interested in what is happening up here.
Okay, so
why is there a printer?
Why do we have a printer here, Patrick? So a lot of you that watch Shannon and I on TekZilla saw me add a they call it a continuous ink system. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if this is the same vendor, but this is the exact same thing.
Yes.
The Fantasy by Bulk Continuous Ink System, CIS.
Your fingers got very messy that day.
Well, okay, you want to see an awesome photo? So I added the bulk ink for like $60 and $15 for 6 ink refills. It was worth experimenting.
Right.
We were spending a fortune on my Epson Artisan 835 on ink. So I bought that bulk ink, that continuous ink system, and it's pretty funny. That's what the filled, this is like the little 6 tanks, and you see the tube over there? The tube over there goes into the print head and a special modified set of print cartridges. It works, right?
Right.
And refilling those tanks costs about $16, but as Shannon pointed out, it did get a little messy.
Yes, it did.
And you can
But
see...
it saves you a ton of money.
It saved me a ton of money, but if you look at this, you see the aluminum foil around the base of this? That was in case the toddler got nearby or somebody jostled the table, because those plugs aren't nearly as pluggy as you think you might be. Or maybe it's just my family. In any case, take a look at this.
Ooh. Oh,
Doesn't
that's
that look
so
clean and sophisticated? Well, that is attached to this. This is the Epson ET4550.
Oh.
And this is part of the new, this is the Workforce ET4550 EcoTank all-in-one printer. This is one of, EcoTank. This is one of Epson's first super tank printers they're selling in the US. They've been selling them around the world for a long time.
Cool.
It's really simple. Instead of you buying a $100 printer for $60 on sale and Epson making a fortune in ink, they charge you more up front and they include a ton of ink. So it's pretty...
So what are you saying when you say more up front?
So, okay, there's a bunch of printers in the series. This is the web page for the new SuperTank printers in the US. So the entry-level ones, the 2550, the ET2500, pardon me, is $380.
Okay, that's not bad.
But it comes with enough ink to print $6,500 pages. Wow. 6,500 pages, not $6,500 pages. I don't know what a dollar
is. Are those color pages or black and white?
That's 6,500 color pages, like 4,000 black pages. Epson says 4 ink bottles, much like these, equal 4,000 black pages and 6,500 color pages on the consumer EcoTank models. That is the equivalent of 20 sets of cartridges. That's like $50 in EcoTank ink versus $800 in cartridges. All right,
that's wow! I could print so many coupons.
Yes, you could. Well, it's funny, for the continuous ink system that we bought for my printer, which was kludgy and weird but works. We went from buying a set of cartridges a month to taking a year to use our second set of ink bottles that we bought for $16, right? So I'm totally buying it. Yeah, so if you print a lot, this is a pretty cool concept. This is the Workforce 4550,
Okay.
the ET4550, costs about $500, but is the equivalent of like $800 worth of Epson's traditional ink cartridges in the box. They're claiming out of the box 11,000 black or 8,500 color pages. You know, for the average small office, like 2 years of printing, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, the bottles ourselves, these are going to be about $13 each or $50 a cent. A set. I'm so excited about DEF CON, I can no longer actually use consonants. It's that kind of day.
Okay, we'll come back and neither of us will be able to talk.
So, you know, it's a classic all-in-one. Print, print, copy, scan, fax. It's a 4-color printer, CMYK. The more expensive models include the pigment black instead of ink-based black. The precision core printing tech equals laser quality black text. That's what it says in the
Is it also connected?
marketing stuff. Yeah, actually, it's crazy. I mean, the print quality is excellent. So this particular model includes Ethernet, Wi-Fi, two-sided printing, 30-page auto dock feeder, 150-sheet paper holder, the paper tray. That was kind of like my one complaint about this particular printer.
The tray?
I'd like the tray to be bigger because it's only 150 pages, and it only holds a single type of paper. For my Artisan, you can actually have 8.5 by 11 or standard letter paper and 4x6 paper in it simultaneously. This one you have to swap. So there's 4 EcoTank ink bottles plus a spare set of refills. Epson says the ISO print speed comes to 13 pages per minute in black, 7.3 pages per minute in color, and my testing pretty much confirms that. Windows Know has 10 drivers. It does AirPrint, Google Cloud Print, Epson Connect. It's Energy Star qualified. And number one, like, let me go back to this picture. The Epson system is much less messy than my aftermarket setup. It is much simpler. It is also factory ink, though I will say aftermarket ink has never really been a problem for me. The initial ink charging, it took me about 5 or 10 minutes to, you know, because like you take one of these, you snap the top off, you unscrew the cap, you pull the seal off of it, you screw the cap back down, you turn it upside down, and you squeeze.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And,
that's really easy.
Yeah, I mean, basically you just fill each one of these tanks.
Cool.
You know.
And it has a little level on the side so you know exactly how much you need to put in.
Exactly. It was easy. The colors look good. They're saturated. They're nice, especially on the glossy photo paper.
Yeah.
I would like to have sort of, you know, it's got a single, like I said before, it's got a single paper drawer. So you basically have to manually swap things if you want to go from 4x6 to 8.5 by 11. But a lot of folks have told me that they never print 4x6, so it's not a problem. Should you buy? If you're a heavy printer like we are in our house, it is a very attractive option, especially if your printer is end of life or if your printing system is kludgy. I'm a fan of Epson printers. I mean,
me too.
You know,
I have an Epson at home. It's older, so it's not this nice, but
all of these have wireless. All of them should do a pretty good job printing. They will be available for pre-order now. They're shipping August 24th. I gotta say, this is nice.
Yeah?
You know, it's a lot more expensive up front than buying that $100 printer with a, you know, $40 off coupon at your local, you know, office box store.
Right.
But
it saves you money in the long run if you use a lot of ink. So
$50
that's really cool.
versus $800.
Yeah. A slight savings.
A modest.
Us couponers like those savings.
Oh,
and of course, if you have questions about printers, any sort, he's kind of our go-to guy for printers.
I love printing.
Apparently.
You know, you can print out digital photos and hang them on the walls of your house without the inconvenience of a digital photo frame.
Totally makes sense. Let us know your questions, of course, at TekThing on Twitter. I'm going to stop him before he keeps going.
We could talk about this for hours. This week's Rapid Fire Roundup is...
Your viewer questions! Are you ready?
Yes.
Go.
Tom emails, "Hi Patrick and Shannon, I wonder if either of you have figured out a way to keep all your flash drives organized and easy to find. I have flash drives for Spinrite, Clonezilla, Acronis, Puppy Linux, Ubuntu, Computer Repair Kit, Windows 8, Windows 10, etc. They are all just hanging on the side of a bookcase. Do you have or know of a better way to keep these organized? Sort of like the old days when you could keep your CD and DVDs in a 3-ring binder. Thanks, Tom in St. Louis, Missouri."
Well, luckily, somebody on the internet's figured out a way to solve your problem. I use a makeup pack. And I just write on each of them with a silver Sharpie so I know exactly which one is. For example, I have a Windows 8 USB flash drive with Pentu on it because that makes sense. But if you want more organization and you don't necessarily want to go buy a makeup bag from like Target or whatever, you can go online. Luckily, they have on Amazon these handy little gadget cases specifically for USB flash drives, SD cards, etc., etc. I'll put the link in the show notes. About $10 for that or less. Nice little find. And Patrick also has an example.
Well, I have, so these came from a local hardware store. They're nylon bags. This one is my thumb drives. This one is keys and household stuff. This is my cables that I travel with. There's also, some people like, it's kind of like, there's super cool like aluminum armored cases that Pelican makes.
Yes, I've seen those.
Yeah, those are really cool. Pelican makes them for like SD cards and compact flash cards. You could get just a regular Pelican case. Also, I've seen people using these if you still have binders in your house. These are like plastic storage binders. So not quite as cool as a Pelican case. Probably won't survive being run over by your car, but you know, they're expensive.
You could probably even use old baseball card holders for that too. That's a great idea. And number 2 is from Mark, who asks on Facebook.com. Hello, Patrick and Shannon. Do you have any recommendations for legal DVD Blu Ray copying software? I want to make both backup discs and save the files to my hard drive. Thanks. Love your show. Mark from PA.
Thanks to the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, there is no such beast, at least if you're a resident of the U.S. Outside the U.S., I can't really tell you what's legal. MakeMKV, though, is the open source standard MakeMKV beta for ripping, usually followed by handbrake encoding if you don't want to store the whole ISO file for playback or use later. I'm also a big fan of SliceOff's Any DVD HD. That handles decrypting discs so I can put them on my home media boxing. I've been using that for years, so has Robert Hare and several other people I know. It's not cheap, the SliceOff, but it is very well maintained and super easy to use software. MakeMKV is open source, available for nothing, and people swear by it.
I love it.
Question number 3
is from Josh, who says, how easy would it be to get the GPIO pins on the Pi to work with Bash? I don't know Python, I know Bash, and that seems to be mostly what I find when I search. From Josh. Thank you.
Well, okay, so if you've never really looked closely at a Raspberry Pi board, this is a picture of a Raspberry Pi board. Those are the GPIO pinouts. Some of them are reserved. Some of them are used for power. The majority you can use to control things. Generally speaking, you can use Python, C++, C++, or Bash to control the GPIO pins. I cannot use it because I cannot program in Python or Bash for that matter. But if you go,
Python!
Yeah, yay Python. Python's cool. I should learn to program someday when I grow up. In any case, Raspberry Pi-aa.github.io. There'll be a link in the show notes. It has a great article called Bash Script Control of GPIO Ports. It looks like a very good introduction and explains, well, you know, the whole Bash scripty thing.
There's a lot to learn, but luckily you already know how to code in Bash, so I think you would be good to go. And of course, if you guys have any questions, feel free to email us at any time, even when we're away at DEF CON. Ask@TekThing.com, and we'll do our best to answer them for you.
We will. Ladies and gentlemen, I might hold before you the tiniest wireless portable drive ever. Tested at great personal risk by Shannon Snubs Morse.
Well, it's the smallest one that I've tested so far. So meet Sandisk's Connect wireless stick. Honestly, each of these wireless USB devices has such similar names that it's really, really hard, or actually really easy to get them confused with each other. So one's called the iXpand, this one's the media drive, and this one is the stick, the wireless stick. So keep that in mind. So this one was just released. It's 16 gigs for $29.99, so about $30. I tested the 64 gig version, and that one costs $60 or $59.99 on Sandisk's website. This allows you to basically just share and collect up to 128 gigs of data on the device. You can also stream movies in HD to up to 3 devices at once, access files stored on it wirelessly. Question.
Before people email, which is, you got to buy the 128 gigabyte version to stream 128 gigabytes of stuff. So, you know.
Just mention that. Thank you for that.
No, I was just like, really? Does it compress the data? No.
And then you can also either connect to it via the USB port, which it is 2.0, it's not 3.0, unfortunately, or you can wirelessly access it via an iOS device, an Android device, Mac, or PC.
So is it battery powered?
It is battery powered, yes.
So I can basically stream from it without plugging it into anything.
Yeah,
I'm just
exactly.
checking.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It takes up to 2 hours to charge it fully, but it'll last for about 4.5 hours on a battery life. Of course, if you do want to plug it into a portable battery pack or something like that, then you'll make it last much, much longer depending on how much battery life you have in your battery pack. It does create its own network, so you have to connect to it via your device's Wi-Fi settings. So if you're automatically connected to like your home Wi-Fi, you'll have to get off that and then get onto this one's wireless network to access all the information that's on it.
Will it do pass-through internet?
No, it will not do pass-through internet. I tried. It didn't let me access Safari at all. I was very sad. So for a 1-minute .mov file, I did some transfers to kind of get an idea of how fast this thing is for transfers. On my iPad, I had a 121.7 megabyte file. That took about 1 minute and 3 seconds to transfer from the iPad over to this. Now, I also used the same thing with these two devices as well. Now, this one right here takes 15% faster time. So this one took 54 seconds to transfer the same exact file. The iXpand, which is this one, has a lightning connector, so obviously this one's crazy fast because it's not wireless.
Right.
It's 73% faster than the other one, 17 seconds to transfer the same exact file. So surprisingly, this one was slower. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But it is smaller. It is a lot cuter and easier to carry around. It's battery operated and everything like that. It was only 10 seconds short of the other one, or slower than the other one. So,
any issues with? So if you have like 6 gigabytes of photos, it's going to take a
that
fairly
would
long
probably take a long time. Yeah. I also tested streaming with this as well on my iPad. That was pretty amazing. I was able to walk around like the entire warehouse, and I had this just sitting in my office in a door, and it did not buffer. It didn't have any issues at all, and it only took about 1 to 3 seconds to load up a video file at any time. And I tested this with HD Podcasts.
Oh, nice.
I even tested it with our video show, our TekThing. So I have. I'll turn this on.
And we should point out this is a
quick.
5,000 square foot warehouse, so that's a pretty healthy range.
It's a pretty healthy range. Yes, it is. So I have a couple of video files here. A couple were already on there. Our middle one right here is TekThing, and it streams perfectly fine. It loads up very quickly, and it's streaming wirelessly right now from this little device. Pretty cool. And I can do full screen if you want to.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's very easy to use as well. In short, I would say this is really good for streaming. Not so much if you want to back up tons of files to it, because it does take a long time. If you need something to back up, I would recommend this one.
The lightning connector?
The iXpand Sandisk, what is it called? The iXpand flash drive, which we reviewed previously on a TekThing episode. And then if you have something else that you need to share via SD cards, for example, this one lets you access SD cards on it wirelessly. So this one's really good for other products and devices that you have that might not be iOS devices.
The classic thing for this is the family reunion, and everybody brought a camera that has an SD card, and how do we make it available for everybody? And copy quickly because we don't have decent internet at the hotel, campground, wherever we are.
Yep.
To do something like that. A lot of options. Sandisk, obviously.
Tons of options. So luckily they're filling out all of their repertoire of wireless devices with things that will solve each of the problems. Unfortunately, this one was just a little bit slow, and I was kind of disappointed with that. But streaming, excellent.
Good to know.
Yeah.
There are so many options out there for streaming wireless devices. We are curious to hear what you think and to know what you'd like us to check out. Why don't you tweet at TekThing or post on Facebook.com/TekThing or email at TekThing. No, ask at
TekThing.com. And by the way, we got so many Windows 10 questions.
And so many Windows 10 comments. First up, look, in case you didn't see last week's episode, we were all over Windows 10 last week, installing it, features, some of the security concerns. A lot of folks wrote to tell us that Wi-Fi Sense is not a security risk.
I saw this. I was kind of interested.
Yeah, Joel even included a link to a ZDNet article by EdBot, who writes, yes, the option to allow sharing is enabled by default, but only for networks I select. So we should point out he has a really nice screen grab on here. So you actually have to select these networks to share your logins with them. So as long as you don't say check Facebook friends, you won't be sharing your security information, your
But if you
SSID login information.
If you do want to share it with Facebook friends, it goes to all your Facebook friends.
Yeah, you can't choose and select. So that's
so I recommend just not.
Yeah, and I'm pretty big on shutting that one off. But we might have been a little overly paranoid on that. Props to everyone who wrote in. That said, we might not have been paranoid enough for many of you. I love Cory Doctorow in his fight for internet freedom, and this is one of my favorites headlines of all time. Windows 10 defaults to key logging, harvesting browser history, purchases, and covert listening. And that is an introduction to an article from the Boy Genius Report called Windows 10 Upgrade Spying, How to Opt Out. We'll have links to all these in the show notes, which goes through all the myriad places inside of Windows 10 you go to if you want to basically turn all this stuff up.
I think we should talk a little bit about the terms of service for Windows 10.
Okay, so
even though like all terms of service have similar information in them. But
Zach Epstein wrote this up for Boy Genius Report, and I'm going to quote him. Here is Microsoft's 12,000-word service agreement. Some of it is probably in English. We're pretty sure it says you can't steal Windows or use Windows to send spam, and also that Microsoft retains the right to take possession of your firstborn child if it so chooses. And that's just one of several documents. In the privacy statement, finally, we will access, disclose, and preserve personal data, including your content, such as the content of your emails, other private communications, or files in private folders, when we have a good faith belief that doing so is necessary to comply with applicable law or respond to valid legal processes. Okay. Protect our customers, for example, to prevent spam or attempts to defraud users, to help prevent the loss of life or serious injury of anyone. Okay. Operate and maintain the security of our services. Makes sense. Protect the rights or property of Microsoft. Typical. All right. That's kind of interesting that they've declared themselves the universal computer police. But you can opt out of these. And there is lots and lots of information on how to do that inside of this article. We got a link to it in the show notes at TekThing.com or down below if you're watching on YouTube.
Terms of service.
I don't know. It's funny because, Darren from Hack5, you, myself, we're pretty paranoid. Darren's particularly paranoid, but we routinely joke that we've turned over our lives to Google because that's how it works. Gmail, Google Docs, spreadsheets, sheets, I should say.
That's true. And there are plenty of companies in the world who have similar wording in their terms of service as well.
Yeah.
And it's just times like these when I feel like it's made a big deal out of, but in reality, it happens all the time. Yeah,
it's something to think about. And if you are concerned,
it's a personal opinion thing.
Yeah, well, and it's like, okay, are they doing this to improve the operating system by randomly anonymizing data and studying the trends on the usage of the operating system? I don't have a particular issue with that. Are they potentially taking my information and selling it to a third party?
Right.
That I have an issue with.
Yeah.
So, something to think about. Something else to think about if you're a fan of TekThing, make sure you subscribe at TekThing.com, on iTunes, or of course at YouTube.com/TekThing, and make sure you get each and every episode. And if you want to take it to the next level, consider contributing to the show. Patreon.com/TekThing is basically the economic engine that powers us.
It's true.
Yeah, it's why we can do the show. Otherwise, we'd have to have real jobs, 60 hours a week.
This is a real job.
This is a real job. This is a real job, but if you don't pay for it, we can't do it because children and health insurance and stuff. Hey, and if you can't donate, no worries. Please take the time to send us questions, tips, and to share the show with your friends and family, and giving our videos a thumbs up on YouTube and liking our Facebook page. It all helps. And thank you so much for supporting the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To show.
He's
speaking late speak.
Apparently I'm getting ready for DEF CON. One last thing I should point out, I know we've said it twice already, but if you are a Patreon contributor, you get access to our new build videos. Rumor has it,
We're
the first
excited.
one could be a Raspberry Pi, could be a gaming machine.
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be a Raspberry Pi build. But we are also looking for suggestions on build systems, and of course, if you got suggestions, do us a favor, contact us through the messages on Patreon or email ask@tekthing.com. I think I've found the first CPU I've really wanted to upgrade my old Core i7-920 gaming machine to.
What?
This, ladies and gentlemen, is Skylake, the 6th generation Intel Core i7-6700K and i5-6600K processors. Intel dropped the news on these this morning. It's interesting. Gaming, or I should say gamers, are important to Intel because gamers buy fast processors and want more performance. So they're releasing for Skylake.
We like to throw our money at Intel.
We love
Take all my money.
Well, I mean, I threw my money at Intel like 5 years ago, and then I threw a little bit more to build a server for my house a little bit later. But now I want to throw money at Intel again. Okay, so why do I want to throw money at Intel again? So these are the 6th generation Core i7-6700K and the 6600K processors. The K, it means they're overclocking friendly. Intel's claiming the 4 gigahertz 6700K is should hit or come close to 5K on air, 5 gigahertz on air cooling. Wow. 6 gigahertz if you want to get your crazy, liquid nitrogen cooling on.
But how much are those going to cost?
Surprisingly inexpensive.
Really?
Well, these are think Haswell E Performance, which is like $1,000 plus processor. Yeah. The 4 gigahertz Core i7-6700K is $350. The 3.5 gigahertz Core i5-6600K is $250. Not a lot. Well, hold on. Okay. Breathe. These are enthusiast processors, but they're not sort of the super out of control, $1,200 CPUs. Not a lot is known about the new architecture. It's 14 nanometer. Everyone expects to hear a lot more about it, and the updates for a lot of the new processors coming up at the Intel Developer Forum later this month. So the big features about this: new CPU, new architecture, new power architecture, DDR4. You're going to need a new motherboard with an LGA 1151 socket. That's the Z170 chipset. It's crazy. It supports like 20 PCI Express Generation 3 lanes. That means full bandwidth of GPU and the ability to run massive amounts of data off of your drives simultaneously. People are saying if you have the right drive, they're looking at like double the throughput off of your storage.
Jeez.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Intel 530 graphics on board. That's up to 20 to 40% faster than the previous generation Intel graphics. You're still going to want a GPU if you're a gamer.
Oh, yeah.
DDR4. DDR3, I think, is finally going to slowly exit stage right. Now, in terms of CPU performance, a lot of articles out there. I, of course, went to our friends over at PCPer.com. These are pretty good. I was enjoying the benchmarking. SiSoft Sandra is not something I spend a lot of time looking at. But check this out. This is the Haswell E. 232.91, 6700 Skylake is 204.44. That's really close, because one of the things that they did over at PCPer is they have their performance per dollar charts, which is really slick. Power performance, and here we go, processor costs. So the 6700K is $350. The Haswell E, which it has comparable performance to, is $1,049.
Wow.
So in terms of like, if you already own a Haswell CPU, maybe you're looking at a 10% performance gain. If you own a Haswell E CPU, you pretty much have the same performance, except that Haswell E CPUs cost like 3 times as much. PCPer got to 4.7 gigahertz overclocking the processor, which turned into a 10% performance gain on CPU heavy stuff. No Cannon Lake CPUs until next year. So these initial Skylake processors and Haswell are pretty much the top of the pile, unless they announce something new at IDF.
Yeah.
But I'm not really expecting it. I think I found my next CPU. And I was thinking like, I don't want to buy a $300 motherboard. Well, it turns out they have compatible motherboards for as little as $128 on Amazon.
Wow.
DDR4 RAM is $50 to $60 for a stick of 8 gigabytes. If you want to go with a $300 motherboard for your next generation processor, which is fine, you're allowed to do that. One of the things they're going to add, basically the more expensive motherboards will add U.2 interfaces for storage, onboard 3x3 802.11ac, more USB ports. It's pretty interesting. I'm kind of excited about that. Yeah. One downside, processors have not gone up for sale yet. We haven't found them on Amazon. We haven't found them on Newegg. I called up Ryan at PCPer, and he's like, nope, we can't find them anywhere. And the motherboard guys are bummed because it's hard to sell motherboards without processors. But I'm pretty excited about this one.
I'm pretty excited about it too.
Yeah.
So
You're not going to need it though.
No, I won't. Well, I mean, I could have waited and built one with these new CPUs, but my computer kind of blew up, so I needed a new machine.
Yeah,
So I built one.
Yeah, and that's fine because your machine is going to have excellent performance for several years to come.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
DDR3 will be available for several years to come, although you probably, do you have 8 or 16 in that machine?
I have 32.
You have enough. You're good.
It's either 16 or 32. I don't remember what I put in.
I, however, am finally looking at my Core i7-920 and thinking like 150 watts, and it'll get its ass kicked in gaming. I'm thinking it's time.
I'm thinking we should build one on the show.
I'm thinking I
think that's a great idea.
I do. Yes. What she said.
Hey, we also got a really nice tip from Tom. For free, lynda.com. I'm sure you guys love that. They are not sponsoring us or anything, but Lynda is really great. I've used it tons when I was growing up.
They have sponsored shows I've done in the past, but essentially they're online videos that teach you skills.
So Tom says, our library has started offering lynda.com. Check your local library and see if they have it or might offer it in the future.
Yeah.
From Tom. Thank you so much for that. That's really cool.
Yeah. You just have to check your local library, unless you live in St. Louis, where Tom does, in which case, go to the library.
Luckies.
Remember.
Man, support your local library. Yes. And remember, once in a while, put down your phone, step away from the screen, and close your laptop and do something analog, like learn ukulele tabs, such as going to uktabs.com, which isn't really analog, but hey, it helps you learn ukulele tabs.
You can print out tablet. If you don't know what tablature is, it's essentially, it tells you where to put your fingers to make the chords and the things to strum to make the songs. It's easier than reading music. It's very common for guitar
I'm
and
not playing on the
ukulele.
show until I actually know a song and I feel confident.
Well, when you're not in the booth at DEF CON, you should be practicing ukulele.
If it fits in my suitcase, I will bring it.
You should actually like put a strap on it and just carry the ukulele with you everywhere you go.
That's a great idea.
It's like a medieval
backpack.
minstrel.
Like an evil minstrel.
I just want to watch
I'll wear my
security.
Minstrel garb to the Renaissance Festival.
That might be a bit much.
No, you don't like that?
It's...
Oh, I should bring my ukulele to the Renaissance Festival. I'm Shannon Morse.
I'm Patrick Norton.
We'll see you next week on TekThing. Bye. See you in Vegas.
Oh my goodness. Thanks everybody.
We're like broken this episode. Derp, derp, derp,
So-
derp, derp.
Credits are rolling.
Credits are rolling! Yeah, so the NorCal Renfest is happening in September and October on the weekends, and I'm super excited. I'm gonna wear my costume, and maybe I will bring my ukulele and play it.
We're building Roman Legion as part of Seamus's like ancient cultures education. We're making him a Roman Legion costume, and he wants both he and Tristan be able to dress as Legionnaires.
Oh, that's so cute!
Yeah, it's kind of
Do
funny.
it,
And
do
my wife's
it.
like, "Wait a minute, you want me to build you a Legionnaire's costume for school, and then or for homeschooling, and then turn around and make you a Rocket Raccoon?" He wants to be Rocket the Raccoon for Halloween. That's my son.
That's a great costume. I'm gonna be, I don't know what I'm gonna be for Halloween, but I have a few costumes at home.
I just want this fever.
Star
to
Trek
break.
maybe? Star Trek lady?
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
It's always fun. Red shirt.
Yep.